Okay, welcome everyone. I'm now calling this meeting to order. Before we do this, can we do a check to make sure, I hate these things, can we make sure everybody's, can we just sound, we know who's here, so it's Alderman Brooks the only one, and then we got department heads, so who do we have that's not here that make sure they're connected?
Connected and in here is Bradley Wallace. We have Chris and Kavina that are people that Whitney invited that are at the planning commission. Thomas Maston, Whitney, Chief Scallions, and that's all.
They're all on? They're ready?
That's everyone that's on here.
Are they going to show up on here, or is it going to be all on?
No, sir. It's all good.
Okay, and then when we get ready to go to executive session, are you going to cut? We're going to have it here.
If we get ready to go to executive session, then probably the easiest thing for us to do is just use your, y'all can go there, you check your phone in there, and I'll keep this in there.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, so we'll get started.
And Andrea, can you hear?
Yes, I can hear.
Okay.
Okay, Alderman Gallagher, would you lead us in prayer? And then after the prayer, we're going to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Alderman Payne, will you lead us?
Heavenly Father, we once again thank you for the ability to attend this meeting, Lord. We pray that you would be with us, Lord, that you would influence all of our decisions that we make, Lord. We want to pray that you would watch out over our citizens, Lord, and keep them safe at home, Lord. In your name we pray. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, first on the agenda is the approval of minutes for the February 2nd, 2021 meeting.
Mr. Mayor, I move we approve the minutes of the regular meeting of February 2nd, 2021 with any additions, deletions, or corrections.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Payne, second by Alderman Hoots. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Alderman Brooks.
William?
Yes.
Alderman Jackie.
Yes.
Alderman Hoots.
Yes.
Alderman Payne.
Yes.
Alderman Gallagher.
Yes.
Alderman Wheeler.
Yes.
Alderman Flores.
Yes.
That motion carries.
I can't hear her. You guys let me know.
Yeah, hold on. I'm going to go take the phone over there. Okay, that motion carried. Then we're going to the next thing on our agenda is a resolution for a Freeport tax exemption for Genoa Healthcare and Rare Beauty.
These are just the, make sure if I can hear you, these are the Freeport warehouses, the goods that will be stored in transit that will be taxed, approved by the, recommended for approval of the City County Economic Commissioner Council, and it's being recommended to by the council to the county and to the city for approval. So it's my authorization of those two Freeport warehouse resolutions, and I think we probably do them both at the same time. The motion we made, and second we made for both resolutions.
I'll make that motion.
We got a motion by Alderman Flores, a second by Alderman Wheeler. Is there any discussion on either?
Andrea, that'll be for both resolutions.
Okay.
Any discussion on either of those exemptions? Hearing none, roll call.
Alderman Brooks.
Yes.
Alderman Gallagher.
Yes.
Alderman Hoots.
Yes.
Alderman Payne.
Yes.
Alderman Gallagher.
Yes.
Alderman Wheeler.
Yes.
Alderman Flores.
Yes.
That motion carries. Next on the agenda is a resolution for surplus property in the Southaven Police Department.
This resolution is the surplus of firearms in the Police Department. It'll be ordinance 1725-5, which will allow for them to go to public auction by posting notices throughout the city in 3 places, and it'll be 10 days for people to bid on the firearms, and it'll also include a trade-in values as well as part of that proposal to purchase the firearms for the police department. So tonight, authorization to surplus those, and then it'll allow the chief Ward and Chief Little to begin the public auction for a portion of selling the firearms to the licensed dealer.
Mr. Mayor, Make that motion.
We have a motion by Alderman Payne, second by Alderman Kelly. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Alderman Brooks.
Yes.
Alderman Kelly.
Yes.
Alderman Hoots.
Yes.
Alderman Payne.
Yes.
Alderman Gallagher.
Yes.
Alderman Wheeler.
Yes.
Alderman Flores.
Yes.
That motion carries. Next on the agenda is authorization to execute an easement with Entergy.
This is part of the easement, or part of the Fire Station Number 5 project. Entergy has some property that we need to access to get a utilities line for sewer and water and for the fire station. So the easement has been drafted by Entergy. We need authorization for the mayor to sign the easement with Entergy so that we have access to put our utility lines on that property.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Gallagher, second by Alderman Wheeler. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say no. Ayes have it, motion carries. Next on the agenda is authorization to accept bids for the Parks Department and Southaven Police Department.
These were the bids. One was for soccer for the Parks Department. This for the goals and bleachers. The low bids, the bids are set forth on the in your packet. You have those, but I don't know off the top of my head. But it's I think creative academics for the
You scroll up, this is what we need.
Yes.
creative academics for the goals, and then also the soccer corner for the bleachers and circle goals and benches. So that's our low bids and authorization to award those to each entity as set forth in the recommendation letter, which will also be part of the
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Flores, second by Alderman Wheeler. Is there any discussion?
And I put that in the same benches, not bleachers, it's goals and benches.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Alderman Brooks.
Yes.
Alderman Kelly.
Yes.
Alderman Hoots.
Yes.
Alderman Payne.
Yes.
Alderman Gallagher.
Yes.
Alderman Wheeler.
Yes.
Alderman Flores.
Yes.
That motion carries. And then the other one is Southaven Police Department.
Yes, that's for the it's out uniforms for 1 year for certain uniforms that are needed by the police department. That Flower, I say that correct? Flower brand uniforms for 1 year.
So moved. Second. We have a motion by Alderman Flores, second by Alderman Hoots. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Alderman Brooks.
Yes.
Alderman Kelly.
Yes.
Alderman Hoots.
Yes.
Alderman Payne.
Yes.
Alderman Gallagher.
Yes.
Alderman Wheeler.
Yes.
Alderman Flores.
Yes.
That motion carries. Next on the agenda is acceptance of an Explorer donation to the Southaven Police Department.
Explorer donation, the Explorer program has suffered, I mean, not suffered, has not had participation due to COVID this past year, so there are excess funds in that account. And so I think, or I don't think that's something, the recommendation is that Explorer program wants to donate money to the police department in the amount of $16,100 by K-9. That's an authorization just to accept that donation on behalf of the Sunday Police Department to purchase the K-9.
So moved. Second. We have a motion by Alderman Flores, second by Alderman Gallagher. Is there any discussion?
So, are we funding the Explorer program?
I don't know, do we fund, I don't.
No, so they do fundraisers.
So that's their, yeah, I didn't think we had anything in the budget for the Explorer.
So they're not comfortable with that much money being, they've got quite a bit of money, they want to get it down to a manageable amount because they've only got one Explorer right now because of COVID.
Right.
And so we need a dog coming up in a month or two, so they decided to donate it to us.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Ayes have it, motion carries. Next on the agenda is a resolution for the 2021 record rotation.
This establishes the record rotation for 2021. It's been recommended by the police department. Each company or entity is within the policies set forth. It has the requirements, the special requirements of tonight. Authorization to approve that record rotation as set forth in the resolution.
Second.
We have a motion from Alderman Hoots, second from Alderman Payne. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Alderman Brooks.
Yes.
Alderman Kelly.
Yes.
Alderman Hoots.
Yes.
Alderman Payne.
Yes.
Alderman Gallagher.
Yes.
Alderman Wheeler.
Yes.
Alderman Flores.
Yes.
That motion carries. Next on the agenda is a resolution for amending ordinance section 13.7C.
This, Mayor and Whitney, I met on this resolution, on this ordinance on Friday. This ordinance was previously amended to allow for those entities that are on the record rotation to park in residential areas that run the driveway, just based on the time we needed them to be there at the scene. This ordinance is further amended by this resolution to allow for entities that are governed by the PSC, Public Service Commission, such as Entergy, Atmos, making more central in there to allow them to have a truck parked in a driveway too, as long as it's within, even if it's 10 feet from the driveway. It has to be on a paved driveway and has to be regulated by the PSC, and they must let the city know that. So this ordinance will allow for entities to have that, those trucks that are needed in emergency situations, which the power goes out, and you may turn the truck out there pretty quickly. And so this is allowed for that, to have that truck in the paved driveways, similar to the same way we do with record rotations. It came up recently where a truck was in parked on the street, but it wasn't parked in the driveway, so it was given a warning. But this will still, so it will allow for that to park on the street, you will allow to park on the driveway, a paved driveway, even though it may be a bigger truck that's going without that. So it has to be governed by the PSC, it has to be an entity or truck for those situations.
And to add to that, to reiterate emergency situations, what prompted this, Whitney and I had a meeting with Entergy about another issue, and that's when they brought it to our attention, the code officer had given them a warning, and they have one or two vehicles that are necessary for emergency, like if there's a house fire and we need somebody to cut the power off. You know, obviously that's not something where you have time to go trade vehicles, and that's something that time is critical. So it makes sense to do that. There is some concern about making sure that we have the wording in there, emergency. We do have that wording in there right now.
Emergency first responders, because it's,
Because what we don't want to do is for it to be a free ticket for anybody that works for one of these organizations to have an unlimited amount of vehicles. Because again, it's a negative from a neighborhood residential standpoint. That's one of the ordinances there, you know, because it is a negative when you have commercial vehicles parked in a residential driveway. So, but anyway, we had to find some type of compromise here, because obviously these people do need to be able to respond on an emergency basis. That not tonight, but Alderman Hoots and I discussed, you know, that there are some other vehicles like this that do not qualify based on this ordinance that provide a record service. Maybe they're not on our rotation, but they are on a record rotation. And just not to make a decision tonight, but to be thinking about that. Do we want to expand this more? Again, the purpose of the ordinance is because it is a negative from a property-based standpoint in a residential neighborhood. But we, you know, I know I would be empathetic to listening to, you know, someone that makes their living, you know, being a record driver. But, and again, we're going to have to find some kind of balance to that, because you can't just throw the ordinance away, because then it would. Again, it would, you know, nullify the purpose of it to begin with. So, but anyway, I do think it's important for the public service vehicles like this for emergency purposes. I do think we need to do this quickly, and then just carry the other one for further discussion at another time. That's okay.
Quick question on this ordinance. I'm assuming these are like heavy-duty trucks, not, you know, small, lightweight capacity vehicles.
It is a bona fide commercial vehicle. It'll have a logo, a corporate logo on the vehicle. all the Entergy vehicles, Atlas, things like that, their equipment is gonna be labeled with their corporate logo.
It's kind of like a medium size. It's bigger than the pickup, but not as big as the big bucket trucks.
But this would allow whatever.
Right.
I think that's where.
Well, I mean, I was just trying to make sure, because, I mean, right now, there's no ordinance if you work for, AT&T and you have a take-home truck, there's no ordinance against that. This is for bigger vehicles.
Yeah, if you scroll up back in this last summer, when we made the changes to this ordinance, we specified, I think it's further up than that, we specified.
Like the gross vehicle weight.
Right, yeah, we changed that back in last summer, so it definitely would allow those vehicles that have been restricted, it would allow them.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion from Alderman Flores, second from Alderman Payne. Is there any other discussion?
But this is specifically the PSC, right?
That's the, it has to be governed by the PSC.
Yeah.
Okay, if there's no other discussion, can we get a roll call, please?
Alderman Brooks.
Yeah.
Alderman Kelly.
Yes.
Alderman West.
Yes.
Alderman Payne.
Yes.
Alderman Gallagher.
Yes.
Alderman Wheeler.
Yes.
Alderman Flores.
Yes.
Okay, that motion carries. All right, next on the agenda is one we've been waiting on a long time. We got some good news. We got the bid in for fire station number 5. This thing has been talked about long before I came to work for the city. It's been a long time coming, but we're ready to roll this thing. Got a bid that came in several $100,000 less than what we were expecting. So I'm asking you tonight for us to accept the bid for fire station number 5.
So moved.
Second.
We got a motion by Alderman Flores, second by Alderman Gallagher. Is there any discussion?
Why so low?
I think it's just on our end, just with all the changes from COVID last year, the supply chain and it causing difficulties for contractors. And then just being real candid, I mean, in the past, we've got some bad news. When we do a pre-bid estimate, we go with that number, and then we've gotten some bad news over the last 5 years. So we were being cautious, estimating. We overestimate, having it on the high side, and so anyway, it's a good change.
It's 3871.
What was our estimation?
Our estimation, just on the numbers, like the capital improvement spreadsheet that I send y'all, we adjust that just for our pre-bid planning with the bond money that we have, and I had it at 5.5. So when you add fees and everything to that, I mean, there's still some additions to that. It's going to end up being about 4.5. So about $1 million less than what I had budgeted.
The motion will be.
To this, yeah.
The authorization for Ward Legacy Construction Services of Ralston, Tennessee, in the amount of $3,871,538 as a low bid, and the mayor authorizing to sign email contracts.
Exactly what I said.
Yeah, just so you guys say it out loud, you want to do it.
And again, just to clarify, the other things I'm telling y'all about that's just for your discussion. It's not related to accepting this bid as the expected. Okay, is there any other discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Alderman Brooks.
Yes.
Alderman Kelly.
Yes.
Alderman Hoots.
Yes.
Alderman Payne.
Yes.
Alderman Gallagher.
Yes.
Alderman Wheeler.
Yes.
Alderman Flores.
Yes.
That motion carries. Next on our agenda is our planning agenda. Whitney?
Yes, Mayor, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good. The first application we've got is by Primax Properties for a conditional use permit to allow an indoor shooting range to be located at 8531 Hamilton Road. It's going to be on the west side of Hamilton Road up against I-55 on the south side of State Line Road. Basically, it will have, like I said, indoor shooting facilities. It will have sales, accessory uses to guns, ammunition, holsters, and things of that nature. It's required for conditional use. It was advertised appropriately. We have had no comments, complaints, or opposition, so the planning commission did vote unanimously in favor of it.
Mr. Mayor, make a motion to approve item number 1 on the planning agenda.
Second.
We have have a motion by Alderman Kelly, second by Alderman Hoots. Is there any discussion on item one?
Is this new construction or is this an
Yes, sir.
existing building?
Yes, it'll be new construction. They went through site plan design review. We do have some comments on the design review that were pretty extensive to the colors and the renderings of the building. So they were tabled until February. They have corrected all of that. We'll be back in front of the planning commission next Monday to finalize design and review.
Any other discussion on item one? Hearing none, roll call.
Alderman Brooks. Alderman Kelly.
Yes.
Alderman Hoots.
Yes.
Alderman Payne.
Yes.
Alderman Gallagher.
Yes.
Alderman Wheeler.
Yes.
Alderman Flores.
Yes.
That motion carries.
Item number two, we have an application by Sam Adams for an additional use permit to allow motor vehicle repair shop to be located at 8836 Highway 51 North. This is going to be south of state line and with the intersection. It will be on the east side of the road. It was previously a motor vehicle repair shop. This additional use permit expired. It's the same type of use that wants to go back in there, so there were no comments. The planning commission recommended unanimously for a one-year permit to be extended for those sections.
Mr. Mayor, make a motion to approve item number two.
We have a motion by Alderman Kelly, second by Alderman Hoots. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Alderman Brooks.
Yes.
Alderman Kelly.
Yes.
Alderman Hoots.
Yes.
Alderman Payne.
Yes.
Alderman Gallagher.
Yes.
Alderman Wheeler.
Yes.
Alderman Flores.
Yes.
That motion carries.
Item number three is an amendment to the existing community text for the Upper Holmes Place community, which is more to the Point Gatwell and Cornwall Road on the south side of Stabler Road. Speaking to Ken Burke, he said this would be considered a rezoning hearing. So we may have to close the public hearing and open the zoning hearing, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Okay, we have a motion by Alderman Flores to close the public meeting, second by Alderman Wheeler. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. Ayes have it, motion carries, the public meeting is closed. Is there a motion to open the public hearing? Got a motion by Alderman Flores, second by Alderman Wheeler. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. Ayes have it, motion carries, the public hearing is now open. Is there anyone that's on the call that would like to make comments? Is there anyone, through any of the crazy means we have going on, whether it be computer, or if there's anybody in this building that wants to make a comment? Public hearing, anybody want to make a comment? Hearing none, can we close motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
We got a motion by Alderman Flores, second by Alderman Wheeler, close the public hearing, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say no. Ayes have it, motion carries. Same thing, motion to reopen the public meeting by Alderman Flores, second by Alderman Wheeler, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say no. Ayes have it, motion carries, the public meeting is now open. Is there a motion to approve item 3? Or do you want to go into any more detail with me with that?
Yes, and basically what it is, the commercial property on the corner of Tullahoma and Stabler Road, the area in question, is area number 1. It's essentially about 12.5 acres. The applicant is wanting to put a use, as an option for a use on this property, for RV and boats. To have storage there, the storage area, on specifically 5 acres, will basically illustrate the hub and corner area. Public hearing notices were sent out. We also got in touch with neighborhoods surrounding the properties because we know that development was kind of a point of contention. Sometimes, you can have some people show up at the planning commission once they've heard what the use was and not have the opposition. After that, after further discussion, planning commission voted unanimously in favor of allowing it as an option use for the property.
Okay, is there a motion to approve item 3?
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to approve item
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Wheeler, second by Alderman Payne. Is there any other discussion on item 3?
Hey, Whitney, is that gonna be, have some kind of barrier or something, or is it gonna be visible from the streets on both sides, or?
What we're gonna do, if you'll look in your package, there are photos of the existing storage facility they've got, so we'll actually, if that when it comes into fruition, we will exercise an application, and we'll put the frontage of the building, either on State Line Road or two, preferably State Line Road. They'll have wire fencing, we'll have buffers, around the edges to keep it from, encroaching onto the further properties, but this does not touch any residential areas that we need. It also doesn't face, residential properties on either State Line or two, but yes, we will have a screen and it will come back in front of them.
Any other discussion on 3? Hearing none, roll call.
Alderman Reyes.
Yeah.
Alderman Kelly.
Yes.
Alderman Hoots.
Yes.
Alderman Payne.
Yes.
Alderman Gallagher.
Yes.
Alderman Wheeler.
Yes.
Alderman Flores.
Yes.
Okay, that motion carries. Is that it, Whitney?
That's it.
Okay, thank you. Next on the agenda is mayor's report, just a quick update. Obviously with the weather, that's a concern, but all our projects are on schedule. You know, we're fighting the clock a little bit on the turf to be ready for the tournaments in March. Wes is on that. Feels certain that we'll be able to get that wrapped up, everything ready to roll for our first tournament in March. Soccer, same thing on schedule. Main thing, obviously, this week is weather. Thank y'all for, getting here. We got so many people to thank. You know, I'll admit that when it snows, in my mayor's scrapbook, it makes my skin crawl. I hate it because it's, you get all the armchair quarterbacks start coming out about how we should do this and we should do that. And I'm not going to get into all that, but I just want to make sure, first of all, that I thank all our public safety personnel, our police, fire, done an incredible job. Our street crews with Public Works, Gary McLaren and Robert Booth, these guys are unbelievable, man. Hey, they put in some work, so give them a pat on the back when you see them. And all the guys, working on the streets, utilities, they're on call too. People forget about that. We got a lot of people that, we shut down a city hall. That by no means does it mean we shut down our operation. We have so many people that are working their tails off. So anyway, everyone, that has worked through this weather, I just want you to know that I appreciate that, and I just want to call attention to it. As far as the actual weather, this, I believe, is the worst storm since 1985 here in our city. Obviously, to have that amount of precipitation and the cold temps makes it tremendously different than what we're used to because the roadways are not thawing out as quick. Temperatures have been very dangerous. It was one degree at 5 a.m. this morning. We expect bad weather tomorrow. I mean, the forecast is not good for the next 2 days. Looks like on Friday it's going to ease up a little bit, and then on Saturday the temps up to mid-40s. So we can just hang there for a few more days. We'll get through this. I want to talk just quickly about the road situation. We put sand on the roads. People ask, why are you not using salt? This, that. It's always a cost-benefit thing. When you use the salt, you rust your trucks. It causes damage to your trucks, and roughly you're getting about the same thing. I know that salt can provide some benefits and sand doesn't, so I'm not arguing with all the star quarterbacks around the country, all the people from Minnesota that live here. Hey, I'm saying you know more about snow than I do. But I'm telling you, we have to do a cost-benefit thing, and it's best for us to use sand rather than salt. The other thing is, let me remind everybody, we're in the deep, deep South, okay? We're not going to go buy a $300,000 piece of equipment and let it sit in a storage under a shed when it's 95 degrees normally, which is what it is here. We're not going to do that. It doesn't make any sense, so we don't have that. There are options that are out there. We've got some snowplow companies. Always have storm chasers, that come into town that have snowplows that you can hook up to on the front of a truck. We can use those. The reason we've been, again, kind of weighing cost benefit is that's generally designed when you have more than 5 inches of snow. If you have snow that reaches the bottom of a car, you got to push that out of the way so you can pass. So that's what that's for. It still doesn't scrape the road clean. You're still going to have other stuff. So again, do we want to go burn $25,000 for 2 days? That's what we've just been kind of watching to see. And really today when the sun came out, even though it was cold, it kind of burned the roads a little bit, cleared it out. So I'm just letting y'all know that we have those people ready if we need to, but we're gonna watch and see what happens tomorrow. But the main thing I just wanted to address, and like I said, it's one of my least favorite things about being mayor is everybody's an expert on snow in the roads, and it's tough to make those decisions. So I just want everybody to know that we're not Minnesota, we're Mississippi, and we're going to do a cost-benefit analysis before we spend money and do different things to the roads.
One to that program.
Sure.
It would help if people stay home first.
Absolutely. In all of our public posts, with IT and my social media posts, we encourage people. We get reports from our police and fire. Police are out on the streets. They're telling us where there's accidents, where there's bad spots. So I'm taking that, relaying that to the public. Like you said, please, if you don't have to be out there, please stay home. And so that's a good point.
And we've had some businesses closed, probably pretty close to the end of the fall, so, they've done a good job with the same pay, keep your employees going.
Yeah.
Be smart. 13 to 2 donuts, parking lot.
Yeah.
I told you I was sorry.
I know. I was mad because you didn't invite me.
But anyway, I know y'all get calls too. I want you to know that we're not sitting around with our feet up on the desk. I mean, we are looking at options, but we're trying to be a good steward of the taxpayers' money, and again, get good cost benefit. I mean, we could go burn $25,000 and really not change much. And so anyway, that's the decision process in case you get all
We've
the
done
calls.
that earlier, we got to move it.
Exactly, because tomorrow, if the forecast is true, it's going to cover the roads again tomorrow, so we'll be right back there. Okay, any other comments or anything about that? Okay, that's all I have there tonight. We'll move on.
Hey, Mayor, I have one question.
Yes, sir.
Hey, what is the latest on our garbage routes? I had an email sitting earlier asking about that, and granted this, and have you changed, have you heard what what's going on?
That's a good question. That's been a day-to-day thing for a couple of days. Waste Connections has had to cancel the routes because of the weather, same thing. So it's been day-to-day. I think we got Bradley on the phone. Bradley, would you update us on the Waste Connections routes?
Yes, sir, I'm still waiting to hear officially from Blake. I imagine it's going to be different tomorrow. Now I've been waiting, I've checked with them several times this afternoon, they haven't heard anything back. I'm going to call, but I'm pretty sure that they're going to be off tomorrow as well. I'll confirm that with you as soon as I know anything from them, but given what we've already seen this week and it's expected to come back to us tomorrow, I still think we're going to be out tomorrow. I will confirm as soon as I know anything from them. And also I've asked them to give me some kind of plan for whatever we are asking is to give us an idea of what the plan is to catch everything up. Obviously, it's going to put everybody behind, so.
Okay, we'll update, Alderman Brooks will update all the social media pages as soon as we know that as well.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Okay, any other discussion? All right, so we'll move on, and we did have a citizen that was gonna attend, but I can obviously see that she's not here, about a rubbish concern. I will update the board on that, and hopefully, Ms. Manger can come to an upcoming meeting when the weather's better. But basically, her concern is, and I really appreciate her concern for the property values and the way our city looks. She has a concern when there's rubbish put at the street on a day that's not a pickup day, like days before. For example, if your pickup day was on a Friday and somebody put an old piece of furniture or an old appliance on the street, something like that, then it sits there all week. And I get what she's saying, it looks bad, but what we're doing with that, you can't really change the ordinance with rubbish, because that qualifies as rubbish. So if you change the ordinance where someone could put anything in the street, you gotta think of it this way. You can have a citizen that does yard work and has a bunch of tree limbs, and they would have to store it in their backyard and then move it twice. That's just not practical to ask somebody to do that. So I wouldn't recommend that we change the ordinance, but we're trying to work with that situation. And I talked to code enforcement, talked to Bradley about this. So when code sees that, when they see something like that that's an eyesore on the street, they notify Public Works, and our Public Works is making an effort to go pick that up and to remove that. So I don't know of another way. I know we can't change the ordinance to say that you can't put anything in the street until your pickup day. That would not be practical at all.
Yeah, it would be fair to somebody who does their, on weekends when you're off work and you do your handyman, you do your stuff around the house. If your day is on Friday,
Thursday.
or Thursday, it's kind of, it'd be very beneficial,
Yeah, and someone else brought this up. Another plus to that is, it's the theory of, one man's junk's another man's treasure. A lot of times when you put something at the street, someone will pick it up for you, and it saves us from having to go get it. And I don't think we want to take that away, that natural ability to be able to, to barter a little bit. So, so it happens. So, but anyway, I think that's and without her, I don't want to speak for Ms. Major, but she's emailed me a few times. I've responded back to her. But we'll encourage her to come back and talk more, but that's the best that I understand as of right now. And we didn't have anybody else after her, so we'll move on. Personnel dockets next on the agenda.
Mr. Mayor, I move we approve the personnel docket as presented on the state.
We have a motion by Alderman Payne, second by Alderman Kelly. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Alderman Brooks.
Yes.
Alderman Kelly.
Yes.
Alderman Hoops.
Yes.
Alderman Payne.
Yes.
Alderman Gallagher.
Yes.
Alderman Wheeler.
Yes.
Alderman Flores.
Yes.
That motion carries. Next on the agenda is our city attorney's legal update.
I just have one complaint. It's authorization for alcohol variance for a wedding in June 5th at the Stone Center, between the Stone House, and it's the June 5th wedding, the Getty wedding. So authorization to have alcohol at that wedding.
So moved.
We have a motion by Alderman Payne, second by Alderman Flores. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say no. Ayes have it, motion carries. That's all I got.
Yes.
Okay, then moving on, next on our agenda is our utility bill adjustment document.
Mr. Mayor, I move we approve the utility bill link adjustment docket as presented on the state.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Payne, second by Alderman Hoots. Is there any discussion?
Nobody's on
Yeah.
this.
So they have,
I'm gonna vote next one.
At least legitimate.
I find it hard to believe that Coles, they have water before they have that. Water.
Well, we could be thankful for Alderman Wheeler's and keep a close eye on this. We appreciate you. We don't.
It's auto drafted, sometimes they just don't notice.
There's an energy thing
Yeah, you're right, though. Next month, we're probably going to see a lot of stuff. Okay, so is there any other discussion on the adjustment docket? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Alderman Brooks.
Yes.
Alderman Kelly.
Yes.
Alderman Hoops.
Yes.
Alderman Payne.
Yes.
Alderman Gallagher.
Yes.
Alderman Wheeler.
Yes.
Alderman Flores.
Yes.
That motion does carry. So next on the agenda is our claims docket.
Mr. Mayor, I move we approve the claims docket in the amount of $2,002,057.13, including demand checks.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Payne, second by Alderman Flores. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Alderman Brooks.
Yes.
Alderman Kelly.
Yes.
Alderman Hoops.
Yes.
Alderman Payne.
Yes.
Alderman Gallagher.
Yes.
Alderman Wheeler.
Yes.
Alderman Flores.
Yes.
That motion carries. Next on the agenda is the purpose of determining the need for executive session.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Kelly, second by Alderman Payne. favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Ayes have it, motion carries. And this need is litigation against the city, economic development within the city. Is there a motion to declare executive session?
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Gallagher, second by Alderman Payne. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say no. Ayes have it, motion carries. The mayor board will now enter executive session. So how are we gonna do that, Chris?
Y'all can stay in here, or you can move back there, and just, hang this phone up,